Yo, what is up guys? You got Kotab here, and in this video we're going to be talking about the negatives of the Crew 2 beta. This will be a slightly negative video, but I feel like me as a beta tester, it's important for me to get my opinions out there, so that way hopefully a developer will stumble across this and you know, hopefully some of the issues can be resolved. But you know, I feel like me as a beta tester, it's my job to, you know, voice these things. If all I talk about is all the good things, then when the game comes out, everyone will notice all these things that are wrong, and the developers had no idea. So that's why we're doing this. Don't take it as me smashing on the Crew, because it's definitely not. The Crew 2 is probably going to be my game of the year, and honestly might even top the charts for my favorite game ever, depending on how the launch goes and stuff like that, how the DLCs go. But so yeah, I just sat here for about 20 minutes thinking about a bunch of different stuff to talk about, and yeah, let's get into this. I'm gonna try to keep this video relatively fast, relatively short. If I miss anything that I remember later that I want to add into this video, I will simply add it into the description, so check there and see if there's anything else that you know, if you're interested in seeing what else there is that I might have missed in the video. So first things first, the engine sounds in this game are still pretty bad. In the Crew 1, it seems like the way that they did engine sounds is like whatever the engine was, like a V12, they just played the V12 dot, you know, V12.mp3 and then just, you know, had like a little filter over it depending on the car, which really sucked. You know, like my dog is going fucking nuts. He's really pissing me off. I'm sorry if you guys can hear him. I can't get him to shut up, but it seems like all the sounds, they're all very similar, you know. An American Muscle V8 sounds exactly the same as the Powerboats for some reason, which also sounds the same as, you know, it'll also sound the same as, you know, a different V8 kind of car. I can't really think of one off the top of my head, but you get what I mean. All the sounds really sound similar. It's just, you know, they might have like a little filter over top of it that muffles it. It might have a filter over top of it that, you know, makes it sound like it has a turbo. But in general, all the engine sounds basically are the same. And I was really hoping that would be something that the Crew 1 did differently, because the sound engine in the game is pretty good. All the other sounds sound really good. It's just the engine sounds that are kind of lackluster. So I know it's probably a little too late to change something like that, but it could be potentially something that they could patch in the future. I mean, in the first Crew they did a complete graphics overhaul, so it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to do a sound overhaul. So next thing that I have on my little list here is the car balance. Now, we couldn't really test a lot of the car balance. We only had a few tracks to test it on, and there was no PvP in the beta, so the only way we really got to test tracks were on the 3 that we had available to us, and, you know, Overworld testing on the actual tracks, but that makes it really hard to actually time things. I couldn't really get accurate times when I was testing things, which, stay tuned, I will have a testing video of all the street cars that I did by coming later, so subscribe if you want to see that. But the car balance seems pretty bad so far. Now, like I said, we really didn't have time to test everything, so it's very possible that there's things that we missed, and it's very possible that the tuning will change things drastically as well. But so far, it's all Lamborghini Huracan. It is just completely dominant in the street spec. Don't really know about any of the other specs because, like I said, none of us really had time to test those. But based off the street cars, Huracan seems completely overpowered. All the sports bikes seem really good as well. And yeah, it just really sucks that, you know, lower end cars aren't as fast as the other ones from what I've seen, and that's something that the Crew 1 did really well. Lower end cars and hypercars, higher end cars, were all on the same level playing field, much like you know, the older Need for Speed games. But in this game it seems a little different. It seems like the higher in value you go up, the better the car is, and I don't like that. Now I'm sure that's not 100% true, but it just seems that way. But for right now, it seems like that there is a balancing issue, so I made note of it. Another thing is that the menus will take quite a long time to exit out of or enter. It does that animation where it has like the diagonal stripes go across the screen, and it takes a long time. Plus, I don't like the way that they did that. When I'm in the middle of a race and I pause, by the time I come back, or when I hit the circle button to go back to the race, the animation overlay that it plays while the game starts. So that means that it plays for, you know, what is it, a second and a half, 2 seconds, while my car is moving, and that's really bad because I found myself very often running into walls and stuff after I pause because I don't have time to react because the graphic isn't out of the way. So I really wish that they'll change that. I would like just a simple disappear, or make it so that way you gain control of your car after the animation plays. But you know, it's not the end of the world, it's just a little nitpicky. Another thing is that scrapping parts doesn't give you money, which I found very strange. If you put it in your game as, you know, hey, you can scrap this part to get rid of it, it sounds like it should give you money, or at least give you something. Scrapping in real life is when you take something and then you take it to a scrapyard and they give you money for it. So the fact that scrapping parts doesn't give you money seems a little weird. They should change it to just remove part if they don't plan on giving you money for it. I don't like how it says scrap part and it doesn't give you money. They should change the wording of it or give you parts for your money. Either way would make me happy. Another thing, top speeds are not shown for every single car in the car list, and I don't understand why. Some cars will have no top speed, some cars will say greater than 200 miles an hour, some cars will say, you know, less than 180. It just doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? It just doesn't make sense for them to do that, because if I want to know the top speed, you could just tell me the top speed, and you can't tell me that there's no way you can't test the top speed. You coded it into the game. So I don't know why they do that. It seems very strange and very unproductive. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and I really wish that they would change that. And so yeah, another thing is that there's no more perks, which some people might see as a good thing, some people might see as a bad thing. I think it's a little bit of a bad thing, because the perks were very important in the Crew 1, so that way you could get things like the very expensive cars. I mean, the perk points weren't really that easy to get in the first place, so I don't really understand why they got rid of it. I'd like to see them come back in the full game. They're probably not, but for me that's a negative on the game. I really wanted to see the perks return, but since they're not, oh well. This is a very minor thing that I'm just bringing up just because, you know, some people might not know. Another thing I don't like is that tuning is locked until you level up in the game. Now, this is another thing that just doesn't really make sense to me. Why is it that I have to get more experience to tune my car? Me in real life, I have 0 racing experience. I have never raced on a racetrack. In fact, I've never even pushed a car to its limits before. I've never done something like that. But even I could take my car to the shop and pay someone with a laptop to tune my car. It just doesn't make sense why they don't have that. It just doesn't make sense, you know? You don't need to have experience to tune a car. It just doesn't really make sense to me, you know? If I buy a car early on that has like very little grip, yeah, I'd like to go into the settings and, you know, maybe decrease my tire pressure a little bit. I don't see why I don't have the option to do that. Another thing, and this is something that is actually like a really big issue for me, you can't fast travel anywhere anymore, which it really sucks. In the Crew 1, I got so used to being able to just, you know, I want to go to this exact location so I can fast travel there. Now it's, you can only fast travel to highlights, you can only fast travel to skills, and you can only fast travel to races and I believe your HQs and stuff. Now that might sound like it's great because in the Crew 1 there was skills everywhere. There were skills like every 2 feet basically. So even if they didn't let you fast travel everywhere in the Crew 1, it really wasn't that big of a deal because you had skills and races and stuff everywhere. So even if you couldn't fast travel everywhere, you could basically fast travel where you wanted to go. In this game though, there are a lot less skills. They added in the highlights, but even then, the skills and the highlights put together, there's still not enough on the maps to justify not being able to fast travel everywhere. I'd really like them to see, I would really like for them to add a way for you to fast travel a little more productively. Maybe have some more fast travel spots, like things that you can specifically put on the map to fast travel to. It doesn't have to do anything, it can just be something that you can fast travel to. For example, on the racetracks, you can put a waypoint there that says, you know, this is this racetrack, this is this, you know, whatever, and you can fast travel to the starting line of the racetrack, you know, by doing it like that. Now, obviously, we didn't have access to all the races in the game, so it's very possible that there's a lot of races in the game that will give you locations that you could fast travel to that'll be very helpful. That is a possibility. It is very possible that when you fast travel, when you unlock all the other races, you gain more than enough areas to fast travel. But as I'm seeing right now, fast travel it needs some help. I tend to get stuck a lot because of the fact that I can't fast travel. I get stuck off road, stuck in between fences or something like that. And the way that this happens is that I try to fly in to go somewhere because that's the fastest way to get there, or I try to, you know, cut a corner or something and I end up getting stuck on a rock. If I'm trying to fly, I'll turn into the car, which is not easy while you're flying to line up for you to land on a road. So you end up getting stuck in between barriers from falling into the map. It's just, I don't know. I don't understand why they got rid of that. Fast traveling everywhere was a great thing for the Crew 1. I don't think anyone ever complained about it. So it just doesn't make sense why they got rid of it. Another thing, connectivity issues. Connectivity issues seem to be an issue. The first day of the Crew, the servers crashed where I am for several hours. And well, that's very, you know, it's alright, you know, it's a beta, it happens, but a lot of the people in the overworld I had trouble connecting with. I couldn't see anyone. I couldn't, you know, invite anyone into my session. And that, you know, for a game that focuses itself on multiplayer like that, you should probably, you know, work on your netcode a little bit. The bulldozer part is another thing that I want to address. The bulldozer part, if you don't know what that does, basically it decreases the slowdown of when you run into stuff. I don't know why this is in the game. I don't understand it. I don't really know what they were thinking when they put this into the game, because all this does is promote ramming. And ramming is a serious serious issue in most games. More specifically, games like Forza, Gran Turismo has quite a bit of ramming as well. And in the Crew 1 there was also quite a bit of ramming, so adding a part that lets you ram people better doesn't make sense to me. I really don't understand where their mindset was when they added this part, because, I mean, unless they're like, oh, well, you know, you slow down less from hitting lampposts or street signs, stuff like that, which is fine, but if you need a part to help you with running through street signs and stuff, you're probably not driving correctly. I just don't understand why they added that, and it doesn't seem like something that needs to be in a racing game. And I really hope they actually just straight up remove it. I don't want them to tweak it. I don't want them, you know, to do anything to it except for remove it, because even if they made it so that way it doesn't slow you down when you hit a car, a rammer's mind is very simple. People who ram tend to not be that intelligent. I'm sorry if that's you, but it's just true. If you ram or play like an asshole in a PvP racing game, then I don't care if I hurt your feelings. You're a dick. I hate you. So go ahead, unlike my video, post a racial slur or something in my comments. I don't care. I'm just gonna block you. So I really don't care if I hurt your feelings by saying that. But the people who ram are not that intelligent, so they're going to look at that and think, oh, so I can use this to run into people better. Even if they don't, even if it's not true, they still think that, and they still think it's okay to do it. So that's why I want to see it gone. Another thing is wall riding seems to still be a thing. I talked about this ad nauseum in the Crew 1. They need to increase the friction on walls, as I don't really see how it would be hard to increase friction the longer that you're touching a wall. So that way things, like wall taps or accidents or something like that won't really fuck you up as much, but as you go, the friction increases and increases. That'll just completely remove wall riding altogether. So another thing, you can't run in your house or in your HQ, and you walk so fucking slow. Dear God, let me push, right trigger or something, or click the thumbstick to sprint in there, because the HQ especially is so large to walk to the mailbox, walk back to the cars that you can purchase. It's just, it takes too long. It takes like 15 seconds just to do that. Or when you're in the HQ, just let us hit the pause button and access everything from there, so you don't have to walk around at all. That would be a good thing. Another thing about the houses and the HQs, please make it so that way when I turn the music volume in my options down, it does not play music in my HQ. This is huge. This is really important. 2 of my videos got Content ID flags just because of that, and it's ridiculous. I turned my music volume down all the way because I know I'm going to be making videos on YouTube. I was live streaming on YouTube, and that music in the HQ still plays, and it's very bad. They need to make it so that way that turns off, or just make it so that way you can just turn off the TV in there. So that's something that they really need to change. That's actually something that has to change. It's very important. Otherwise, they're gonna limit their streaming and YouTube audience. God, my dog is going nuts. So I'm also going to talk about the handling for a little bit. The handling, while it seems really great, and I like the handling model in this game, every car in this game has a lot of wheel spin, especially when you nitrous. If you nitrous in a car, its wheels just straight up spin, and you lose a lot of speed, and it makes nitrous almost not worth it for some cars. I really hope that's something that they change, and I really hope that they change that drifting loses you so much speed. Drifting in the Crew 1 was almost, well, I wouldn't say almost always, it was about 50-50 whether you wanted to go in grippy or go in drifting, and drifting was a very good way to get around corners. And it is even in real life for street cars, and some performance cars do drifting or power slides to get around corners because it might be faster. In this game, if you drift, you're losing so much speed. If you drift on asphalt, you lose so much speed, and I really don't like that. Another thing, liveries. I keep saying another thing. Obviously, is another thing if I'm still talking, but liveries are very expensive. The custom-made ones that people put up on the place where you can download them. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. They're very expensive. Why is it that I need to pay 10 grand for someone's shitty livery that they just made? And then on top of that, why do I have to pay 2 grand to make my own livery? Now I understand that liveries in real life cost money, but they don't cost that much. Reduce the price by like half, and I'll be happy. Reduce the price by like 30%, and I'd still probably be happy. But right now, they're just too expensive. Let's see. Some things that are in the Overworld map that I noticed. The map seems smaller. Now, at first, when people said that, I was like, no, it's definitely bigger. It's gotta be, right? Well, no. Now that I've actually played and driven around and stuff, the map does seem smaller. But that's probably not true. It's probably actually bigger, but they added so much water areas that it really limits the road tracks. Now I understand that this is a necessity, they had to, because the boats and stuff, and that's, they have to have a place for them, which is understandable, but the map, when you're driving around in a car, it just feels so much smaller now. They removed a lot of things because of that, and I don't really like it. Some of the things that they removed, not specifically because because the map is smaller, but some of the things that they removed or changed that I don't really like. Sebring is no longer in the game. It is now a Miami racetrack, which is just a fictional track. It's a good track. I like it. That's where it did all my testing and stuff. It's a great track, actually. But I would rather see them keep Sebring and move, add another track like that. They probably removed it because of licensing issues. It's very possible that they asked Sebring, like, hey, can we use your track again in this game? And they said no. But I'm not sure. Also, there was a PvP event in the Crew 1 for perf vehicles that was actually at like the very end of the list called Proving Grounds. This was a track that was somewhere in the middle of the United States. It was like slightly above Texas. But it was a fantastic track. It was just beautiful. It had great low-end speed corners, it had good high-end speeds, it had everything in between. It was just overall probably the best track in the game, in my opinion. It was my favorite track to go to, and I absolutely loved it. And they removed it, which kind of makes me sad. It's not a huge thing. Like I said, we still have, a lot of racetracks that they did add, but it would have been nice to see if Proving Grounds was still there. Another thing that they changed was the crater track, the one that's in the Meteor Crater. They changed it to dirt, and I don't really understand why they did this. Maybe because they added a couple of asphalt tracks. Maybe they figured that they needed some more dirt tracks, but they added more dirt tracks too, so I don't understand why they changed it to dirt. That was another pretty fun track to drive around in. It was a very fun track to drift in, and I don't like how they made it dirt. Also, the random traffic cars that are driving around the tracks, please get rid of those. Those are just very annoying. All they do is get in your way. I understand they're there for, like, feel, I guess, but I don't like how they're there. If they get in the way, I'd really just prefer if they were not there. I got a couple more things here, just like two more things. There's still too few Japanese cars. They added so many different cars into the Crew 1 that were not in the Crew 2, and that is just fantastic. In fact, I almost didn't even put anything about the car list because the car list is just that good in this game. But unfortunately, while I was thinking about it, there's still not a lot of Japanese cars. Now, I know that's kind of difficult with Toyota being assholes about everything, but there's still so many Nissans that they could have added. Just on Nissan alone, they could have added enough cars to make it worth it. You have cars like the 240SX, you had the Silvia, you had the other Skylines, you had, there's just so many Nissans that you could have added that would have just made it so much better. Also, Acura and Honda are in the game, but they don't have that many cars. Acura only has the new NSX, and Honda only has the new Civic Type R. I would have really liked to seen some more different kinds of those, some Integras, maybe even a Civic or two, a different one of the older Civics. That would have been great. But this complaint is probably falling on deaf ears because, like I said, the car list in this game is just phenomenal. I mean, they went way more than what I thought they were gonna have. I really thought they were just gonna have the cars that were in the Crew 1, maybe with a couple extras. But no, they had so many cars that were added, so many cars that I didn't expect, like the Jaguar, what is it, the XJ concept car, I don't remember what the name of it is. Like, they didn't have to add that. You know, there's almost no way that anyone was expecting that they would add that in the game, but they did. So, the car list in this game is top notch. It's 9 out of 10. It is so good. They could have made it 10 out of 10 though if they would have just added like 5 to 10 more Japanese cars, which seems like a lot, which it probably is, and it probably takes a lot of work to do that. So that's why I'm saying it's not really that big of a complaint, but I would still like to see more Japanese cars in DLC packs. Now the final thing that I want to address, and this is something that I talked about a lot in the last game as well, is it is always raining. It's always raining. If it's not raining, the ground is always wet. Like literally 98% of the time I spent playing this game, the ground was either wet or snowy or it was raining. And I don't like it. I mean, I like that they have dynamic weather, but fuck, just let it be dry sometimes, for fuck's sake. It's ridiculous. It is always wet, and my car is always, you know, wheel spinning because of that. The times when I have a dry track is awesome. I actually get a ton more grip, and you know, honestly, it looks better. I don't like seeing a bunch of puddles. I don't like rain in real life. I hate it. Whenever it rains, I fucking stay inside all day. I don't like rain. So the fact that it's like raining 98% of the time in this game really bugs me. I'd really like it if they just made it rain half as less. Make it so that way it can't rain every hour. If you program the game so that way it can't rain every single hour, 1 hour of dry in between each rainfall, snowfall, or whatever, that would be great. I would love that. So that way I actually at least get some time for it to not be raining. Another thing is, and I don't know this for sure, but in the PvP, please have it so that way you can turn off the rain, because there's nothing worse than trying to do, a competitive PvP session, or trying to do a tournament that, people arranged on Discord or Reddit or something, and you go into the race and it's just fucking blistering down rain, and you have to wait for it to stop raining, and it's just annoying. So when the full game comes out in PvP, please have an option to turn off the rain during races. I'd really appreciate that. So yeah, that's about it. I know this was half an hour long video, but I tried to rush through it as fast as I could. There was a lot of things that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you agree with any of these things. Let me know if you disagree, and if you disagree, please tell me why, because, maybe I'll change my mind. I'm a very open-minded person, so don't just be like, LOL, you're an idiot, and, that doesn't help me. Why am I an idiot? Please tell me. If you say, hey, it makes sense for them to lock tuning while you're at low level, so that way, for whatever reason, please just let me know, because I'm an open-minded person. I'd like to hear your guys' opinions on if you disagree with me. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell so that way you can stay up to date. I got more of the Crew 2 videos coming. I got so many shit that I have recorded. I'm gonna have probably a couple videos for the next few days. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the everything that I liked about the Crew 1, or the Crew 2, excuse me. And yeah, I will see you guys later.